And welcome once again to another episode of S2E13 Productions Presents
J&M, Solve the World. I am James.
And I am Matt. And,
Well, before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors today. Straight black coffee and a highly caffeinated soft drink.
that's red.
Thank you.
Yes. Link will be in the description. No, not really.
Not really.
It is a little different today because we're not drinking.
Nope.
We do not have bottles on display, but we do have our table on full display now.
It's nice having this all open up here now.
It is. It really is. See? I mean, the crowd seems to love it.
Yep. Well, most of them. Some of them
Yeah.
snicker.
But, I mean, you know, Ray's not here, so...
There you go.
You know, that's his tens of fans. I would like to thank, right now, before we get into this, everybody that's streamed us on Spotify. We've gotten over 500 streams.
Sweet.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yep.
In the coming weeks, we will have a J&M Solve the World Instagram, a J&M Solve the World TikTok, and possibly J&M Solve the World Facebook page. I'm not 100% on whether I want to do Facebook, but Instagram, TikTok, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got the YouTube channel.
Yep.
We've got the Spotify channel. I mean...
iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio.
We are not hard to find.
No.
Whatever your preferred.
Yeah. Preferred method of finding your podcasts, whether it be video or audio, you can find us. I mean, all you got to search is J&M Solve the World.
Of course, if they're watching this, they already know how to do that.
Yes.
But they can tell their friends.
Now, as you can tell, behind us is a blank area, which is where our logo is going to go. Yeah. It's early still.
It's early, yeah.
Today I want to talk about television shows that are no longer on the air or no longer on public television.
Okay.
Free television.
Free television.
Yeah. That taught you something. And I'm not talking I before E except after C or, you know.
What, Sesame Street?
Hunk of cheese or, you know, something like that. No. Something that has helped us adult-wise.
What about the Saturday morning cartoons? And they had they just done a whole special on them. I'm just a bill.
On Capitol Hill. Yeah, I get that, but...
Those were great for... I mean, when I was a kid, I was interested in them. I didn't know I was learning something.
Right. But I'm talking, like, automotive shows.
Right.
This Old House, you know.
I think you can still find This Old House on free television on all the, like, MeTV and stuff like that. I think it's still on.
Is it?
I don't know if it's new. I think it's probably the old episodes, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know, like, HGTV has all of the...
DIY network.
Yeah, the renovations and what to look for, yada, yada. But
of course, the bad thing about it nowadays, you don't really need a television show because you got YouTube.
Right.
I've got to fix some siding on my house. And I was like, okay, how do you put up siding? 30-minute video.
Yay. What was it? We were doing something on my truck, and I had to watch a YouTube video. How do we do this? Ah, yes.
Right. Well, I've done that at work too. You know, get something in that's a model I haven't worked on before, or the new model, and you're sitting there looking at it and like, how does that bumper cover attach there? Because I'm not I had a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
One of the newer Volkswagens. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out how to get the front bumper off. It's like, there's 2 bolts I cannot get to that connect to the fenders, where the bumper attaches to the fenders there, and there was bolts in there. So I YouTubed it, and it's like, oh, Jesus. You had to take the fenders and the bumper off as one unit. And then you could take the bumper off once you had it out on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I see that, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's another 10, 15 bolts per side. Because you had to take the fender liners out, and there's a row of bolts up inside on both sides. And
Gotta love German engineering.
Oh, yeah.
We talked earlier about the Power Nation block that used to be on Spike or
Power Blocks, I think is what it was called, wasn't it?
I think it was Power Blocks.
Power Blocks was the
it was
4
on
series of shows, and then they had like trucks was one of the shows.
Engine.
Maybe Power. I don't remember. It's been.
Well, I think Power Block was like this big block, which also included like 2 guys' garage, all girls' garage, which was awesome. The late Jesse Combs.
What was that one show? And it wasn't part of that block, and I can't remember. It might have been on A&E or something, where they would steal guys' trucks and take them and just totally renovate them, put a sleeper on them, or they're out of
Joplin.
Joplin, yeah.
Yeah, they were the Chrome Shop Mafia.
Yeah.
Pimp My Truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was on CMT and Rhino. That's where Rhino got all of his notoriety for painting on a national television level.
Right.
Is he would do some fanatical.
Yeah, I remember one episode they were doing they added one of the big huge sleepers on this truck. This truck didn't even have a sleeper, I don't think.
Yeah.
And they added in there, well, on the inside of the sleeper, they were making it look like a mountain lodge cabin.
Okay.
You know, it was all wood grain and stuff like that. Well, they're putting a stereo in there. They had a power amp that was about like so.
Yeah.
And so the guy that's installing the stereo, he takes it to Rhino and he says, hey, I need this to match this. And he handed him a piece of the wood from the siding inside. He's like, okay. And he went and he started painting and airbrushing and everything, and it looked like the same piece of wood, you know.
Guys like Rhino and Mike LaValle, I think that's how you say his name. He's the one that started the whole True Flame craze. And on Overhauling.
Well, we got home last night. Andy was watching.
Overhauling.
Yep.
And anytime Chip Foose was putting real flames on a vehicle, he flew in Mike LaValle.
Yeah.
I mean,
I took an airbrush course years ago, and the old boy, he showed us how to do true flames. Mm-hmm. You know, because everybody, the old traditional 50s, 60s style flame does not look like fire.
Right.
But he showed us how to do that and everything, how to add the white and stuff. Is that where it starts and
layering it?
Yeah.
And, I remember they did one for Jack Osborne, and Mike did airbrushed the skulls for Ozzy, Kelly, Sharon, Jack, and then had the true flames up behind it, and it looked pretty fucking awesome.
This guy, I can't remember his name now. I've got a VHS cassette. That's how long ago this class was I went to. But he was talking about, he uses stencils and stuff quite a bit. And he's like, everybody's like, oh, you should freehand it. He said, no, when you're doing 1,000 skulls on the side of a semi, you're going to stencil it.
Yeah.
He stencils them all, but then he goes back and adds his details to each one of them, and so it doesn't look like a stencil.
Who was it? Counting Cars. It was Horny Mike did a bike that had 100 skulls on it. Mm-hmm. And he had a stencil, and he was
Probably had 3 or 4 because after one gets saturated, you
yeah.
throw it down and grab a clean one, you know.
And then it was just going in and adding all the detail, and I mean they were layered and everything like that. And I got to give it to paint guys.
Yeah.
I mean that's.
Did you know that every custom painting technique started out as a fuck up?
That doesn't surprise me.
Like, you know, you're painting this car and you're leaning over trying to get the center of the hood, and your shirt flops down into the fender, and you look at it and you go, oh shit, that looks, I mean, it's not going to fly on this car.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the customer's not going to want this shirt pattern in their fender. But you look at that and go, ooh, I could do something with that later, you know.
Lowriders with the lace.
Yeah.
Laying the lace down and then just.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The mirror of that headboard behind you there, I done that on that.
Yeah.
Because the wife said she didn't like looking at herself. So, that piece of lace, I just laid it on there, and when, you can still see yourself kind of, but but the lace breaks it up, you know.
Right. You know, and I'm assuming that like splatter paint.
Oh yeah,
Somebody.
That's because your gun, basically your gun's getting plugged up or something, and it spits a chunk out, or several chunks, you know. And you can do that with an airbrush by sticking a popsicle stick in front of your airbrush, just to bring it down. It'll just start building up on the edge of that stick and start going. They call that stippling.
Yep.
So you can. Well, I've got a piece here somewhere that I did. Oh, it's up there. But we done that to make it look like granite. You know, like a tombstone or something with cracks. And
well, I mean, there was that kit years ago that you could get, because I know somebody's first wife like took it to the extreme, and the bathroom mirror went from square to diamond, and then outlined, and then sprayed the granite around it, the gray, and layering everything on it. It's like, oh, okay, you know, that's cool.
yeah.
Garage floors, the epoxy floors.
Oh yeah. Just you put your stuff out and you just start sprinkling your flex on there. And
Yep.
Talking with my hands too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why we did this.
Right.
So we could.
Exactly.
You just can't.
Right.
What I liked about like Extreme 4x4, and it upsets me that I never got to finish this series. This guy was building what he called an apocalyptic vehicle. So he took a Suburban.
Okay.
Like a 79, 80 Suburban.
Not the Toyota Land Cruiser?
No, this was
That's what Rogan has.
Yeah, this was a full-size Suburban. Chopped the back, added another axle, put a bed on it. So you got a 6-foot bed plus the ass end of this Suburban, and dropped in a diesel motor. Went old school, non-electronic diesel motor. So EMP goes off.
You're good. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I mean, he'd put 35s all the way around. I wanted to see the finished product because he put the back axles were dualies.
He was building a Road Warrior vehicle.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
I saw him build a Lamborghini. It was a Lamborghini inspired rock crawler, complete tube, chassis, frame, everything, and he was welding it up, and he had the big V12 motor, center mounted, and yada yada.
Right.
He had built a Bronco, old school Bronco, doing the whole tube chassis, building it himself, and then getting the panels from like LMC truck.
Oh yeah.
Fenders, hood, doors, back, and he had to, because he was making a trail rig.
Right.
So he had to cut them to make them fit and everything, but all in all, it looked like an original Bronco. more so than the new ones do.
Right, the new ones don't. Well, the new Broncos aren't bad. The new Blazers, I'm sorry, they look like a freaking Equinox or something. They don't look like a Blazer to me at all.
I mean, at least
you talk about custom. There was a guy on Rogan, and I think he's got a YouTube channel, and I can't remember his name, or I would shout it out because it was very interesting. Built the first V8 powered Tesla.
What?
Yeah, he buys Teslas, crashed ones.
Yeah.
He'll buy one that's crashed in the front, another one's crashed in the ass, and he'll build them and put them together and everything. Tesla was getting kind of upset with him because he wasn't buying parts from them.
Right.
But, he was getting these salvage parts and stuff. So he's like, well, fuck them. I'm going to put a V8 in there. So he put like an LS1 Corvette motor in a Tesla. So they basically had to cut the car in half.
Yeah.
And build the tunnel for the drivetrain and everything to go in. And they had to go ahead and reinforce all that and stuff. I think it took him 2 years from concept to finally getting this thing done. And there's videos of him. You can go YouTube V8 Tesla. He's out there in his Tesla just fucking doing donuts and shit. You hear this big V8. Rogan asked him, said, well, you got to sell it? And he goes, fuck no. I don't sell anything I build.
Yeah. I mean,
he said, because if I sold it and I seen some other asshole in it doing donuts, I'd be like, fuck, that was my car.
Right. Fast and Loud, Gas Monkey Garage. They redid a 73 DeTomaso Pantera.
Yeah.
And they had bought this was probably like a 10 or 11 F-150 EcoBoost. And they took that EcoBoost motor, rebuilt it because it had 150,000 miles on it.
Right.
And then they upgraded the turbos and slid it into the ass end of that Pantera.
Dude.
And I mean, you think about it, that 351 Cleveland was a mean motor in that Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let's twin turbo that bitch.
Yeah.
Because I think mine are like 25 millimeter or 20 millimeter, something like that. I mean, they're small turbos in my EcoBoost. But they went.
Not millimeter. It was 25 millimeter, be about like that.
Oh.
Because a millimeter is a pencil lead.
Yeah.
Centimeter, maybe.
I don't know.
Centimeters like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, I'll probably set it like right here.
Yep.
What the actual turbos are on my EcoBoost, but they went bigger, like having to cut shit on the inside to get those turbos.
Well, yeah, because that 351 just barely set in there in the first place.
Right. And then converting, you've got to convert that 3.5 EcoBoost. There's a lot more work to it because no one really thinks about you're putting a motor in the back of a car. Transmission still needs to work normal.
Right. Yeah, that transaxle's built for that to go in there that way, I seen just kind of on the subject, but I was at a parade years ago, and
Were you driving the little car?
No, I was riding my motorcycle, actually.
Okay.
I was riding with the Lake Stockton Dune Buggy group.
Okay.
And we got to the end, and we're sitting there watching, and see this rail Dune Buggy coming. It's like, that don't sound right. It went by us. It had a 2.3 liter Pinto motor in the back. It was setting backwards, hooked up to that. And then, of course, they had a radiator and stuff in there because it's water cooled,
Yeah.
It was like, well, that's kind of neat. Be a lot of weight back there, though, compared to that flathead Volkswagen motor.
True, but no one ever really thought about it. And it's weird.
Did you ever see those? Oh fuck, what was it? It was a GM car, but it was a front wheel drive. But the motor set like it's supposed to. A Tornado or no? What the hell was it? It was back in the 70s.
Okay.
Big old long hood on it, and you raise the hood up, and that motor is setting up higher than what a normal you'd open a Chevy, the motor's like way the fuck back in there, and you could put a whole bunch of shit between the radiator and the motor. Well, this was setting way up higher because it had to go back into the pumpkin, and then the transaxle was designed to where it came down, and then the axles came out.
Okay.
So instead of setting crossways like the typical front wheel drive, the motor set right. They said it was hell getting around on snow and stuff because it had all that weight up front.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, GM for that matter they loved that long ass hood for some reason.
Well, Ford did too there back in the 70s. Wife had a 79 Cougar that you could have landed a Piper Cub on.
Yeah.
Turned around and then took back off with.
Yeah. I remember my dad had
the one we drove to Wichita for the...
Yeah. Yeah.
We lucked out on that deal because like the next day we were going to Bolivar and blew a head gasket. We could have been halfway to Wichita and blew a head gasket.
Or halfway back.
They were halfway. Well, either way.
Yeah. And because we were out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Driving there. Yeah, I mean, there's so many shows.
There was one show that probably told you how not to do shit. And that was Red Green. You see the one where he took 2 Honda Accords. I think they were Accords. They were Hondas of some sort. And he was going to put the 2 front halves together. So first thing he done was opened up the doors on the first car, drove by with his pickup, boom, knocked them off. Done the same thing on the other side, done the same thing on the other car. Then he cut the car right in the middle. They were 4-door cars. He cut the car right in the middle. Then he stuck them together. Of course, Red Green was known for duct tape. And he basically duct taped these cars together. There was probably some welding went on that they didn't show. But he could put the one that he wasn't driving in neutral. And he could drive it into a parking place. Then he could hop in the other end and drive back out the other way. Because it was totally independent. He had to put a fuel cell in there to go to both. But, it's front-wheel drive. So all you got to do is have something to hold the ass end up. Make sure the wheels are straight and locked on the one you're not driving. It's like, that's kind of neat. Kind of redneck sort of way.
I've seen it. One of the best custom vehicles that I've seen that is just hilarious. It looks like a 77 C10 or Cheyenne, whatever.
Right.
Flipped upside down.
Okay.
Yeah. The truck appears to be flipped upside down.
Huh. Well, I guess I've seen that.
Yeah, I mean they've got the fake wheels up.
Oh yeah.
And the way that it's got a camper shell on it, and the wheels are in.
Oh, okay.
So it's more, and then coming off the bottom is a little bit of a small windshield.
Oh,
so you can see the guy, but it looks different.
So it was open air on the top, basically.
No. I mean, it looked like the underneath of a truck.
Right, but I mean, if you're sitting and driving it, your head was sticking up above the bottom.
Yeah.
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 So he didn't take that, keep the dirty side down to heart, did he?
No. He didn't keep tires on the ground.
Yep.
Rubber on the road.
Yep.
There's I don't know. You remember Gears with Stacey David? Mm-hmm. I love watching that show.
Yeah.
I mean, he took a Miata and put a what did he put in it? He put like a built up 350. I don't necessarily think it was an LS, but he made a roadster, like a Cobra out of it.
Right.
And
that was basically what the original AC Shelby Cobras were.
Yeah.
Carroll Shelby said, "You know what? That thing needs a V8."
Yeah. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that the first ones were 289s.
Oh yeah. That let's see. Yeah, because the 289 was more the road racing car.
Yep.
Because then they came out with the 427, but it really wasn't a good road racing car. It was just too much. It was too heavy.
Yep.
The balance wasn't right.
And that's the thing is so many people claim to have one or they want one. And the 427 Cobra Jet, there wasn't that many made. It's like that the Boss 429.
Right.
Not a lot of them were made.
In fact, the Boss 429, they came out with that motor for NASCAR to keep up with the Dodge, the Hemi 426.
Yep.
And they were running it in the Torino. That's what they ran in NASCAR. And NASCAR said, "Hey, what street car do you have that motor in?" And they're like, "We don't." They're like, NASCAR said, to run that motor, it's got to be available in a street car.
Yeah.
So, okay, they put it in 500 Mustangs. I think later on it came out in the Torinos and stuff.
Yeah.
And remember those? It was in the early 70s. They had a Torino Cobra.
Yep.
Then a lot of them had the 429 in it. What's his name? Down at Urbana, the Ford dealer down there. He had a couple of them.
Okay.
I seen them. I'm like, that's not a Mustang, but it was a Cobra.
Right.
But it was that Torino Cobra.
Well, the Grande Mustang, like the 73 Grande.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like a Torino Mustang.
That big ass Mach 1s and shit.
Well, no, it wasn't as big as the Mach 1s size wise. I mean, it was. The hood was a little bit longer than the Mustang 2s.
That wasn't very long.
No. No, I mean,
I don't just remember that particular.
I had never heard of it until I saw one on a lot when I lived out in Phoenix.
Really?
And it was the seafoam green, and I'm like, God, this thing is ugly. But it's a Mustang, and I do have a love affair with Mustangs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just like, huh, that's weird. Custom motorcycles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's Arlen Ness.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had Orange County Choppers.
Yeah, I look at like Orange County.
Jesse James that was just an hour or 2 hour kind of documentary on him, wasn't it? It wasn't really a weekly show.
Right. Yeah, he had his Monster Garage. Show.
But I mean, before that deal came out.
Yeah.
He was building a bike to take to Daytona Bike Week.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was Motorcycle Mania 2, and then 3.
Mm-hmm. And I remember he hand built the tanks and the fenders and the whole 9 yards, and the wheels. He had a CNC machine to do the wheels, where he could just load the whatever pattern that he come up with into the computer, and it just cut it all out. But the funny part was when he loaded this bike in the back of his truck. He goes, "This is funny." He said, "I got a $75,000 bike in the back of a $2,400 pickup truck."
Yep. I remember when he built.
It was like an old Dodge Dakota or something like that.
He built a chopper for Shaq.
Oh yeah.
And the way that West Coast choppers did their bikes originally is they fitted the bike for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, hey, we got this.
We got this frame. We got this frame. We got this frame. It was like, okay.
I mean, you've got these. I think it was like 2 different style of frames, but they were fitted for you. Like you went out to Long Beach,
right?
And it was like, okay, where do you want the pegs and everything? Because of course, Shaq's bike was fucking stretched longer than.
They probably had a tubage shortage after he built Shaq's bike.
Yeah, Jesse's wife at the time got very pissed off at him because he traded Shaq's bike, Shaq's custom bike, for a Lakers championship ring.
No shit.
Yep. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Which was worth more money.
True. But, you know.
Did the championship ring have Shaq on it?
I think it did
Yeah.
because it was Shaq's ring. It was fucking. It was a huge ring. Now, whether he actually got it, I don't know. They showed it on the show.
Right.
And it was like, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Robert Kraft, the owner of the
Patriots. Yeah.
I'd never seen this, but I've heard about it a couple of times. He, for some reason, went to Russia and met Putin, and Putin wanted to see his ring, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool," and he put it in his pocket. What are you gonna do? Not a goddamn thing.
No, that's Vladimir Putin,
Yeah,
and you're in Russia.
yeah, yeah. You know, I was like, hey, give me that back.
Yeah.
But give you what back?
Right. it you know, they didn't have that relationship like Rodman and Kim Jong Un.
Right.
Fuck.
I just said, here, you can see it.
Yeah. But I mean, you're the owner of the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, that was like you and me losing $100.
Yeah. You've got 6 Vince Lombardi trophies in your stadium.
Like I said, it'd be like you and me losing $100. It's going
Right.
to piss us off, but it ain't going to
Yeah.
change our lifestyle.
Right. Unless we blow a head gasket in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Damn, I could use that $100 for a tow bill.
No shit. God, do I have free tow on my insurance?
Yeah.
This sucks.
Pretty sure just had liability on that old car.
Yeah. I find it
There
humorous.
used to be a show the wife used to watch all the time, and I can't remember this girl's name, but she was a DIY lady, and she'd go in and help people, other women, to remodel their bathrooms
Okay,
and everything.
okay, yeah.
And at the end of the show, she'd give them their own work belt.
Oh, nice. Nice.
That had the name of the show on it and
Yeah.
stuff. This guy was pretty hot too. I'd sit and watch it just like, she's bending over, put that nail in. Look at that.
I think I know what show you're talking about. I cannot remember her name.
Something Divas.
Yeah.
Or DIY Diva or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
remember. It's been a minute ago.
I liked there was another like a garage takeover. Like Goldberg had that garage mahal or whatever it was.
Right.
There was one. It was a group of mechanics and fabricators. People would write in, and you could you'd get nominated, and they would show up to your house, and in 2 days transform your project into a running car. May not have the best paint job on it, obviously not. You're not going to get top of the line stuff, but your car is going to be running at the end of it and driving on its own, and then you're going to get I think Craftsman was a sponsor because you got a Craftsman toolbox and
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Kind of like what I did to Aiden's car last week. Yeah. Put the used parts on the front, and they were the same color. So.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, it matched.
Nice.
Yeah. Got the little crinkle in the hood, and that one part where it was kind of kinked on the edge. Once I got it all on, it lined up great. Had to adjust the fender a little bit, but just done a little down on that edge of the hood and got it down where it lined up with the fender. And
Nice. That's great. Now he just needs to get that windshield fixed.
Yeah, he'll have to do that pretty quick because his license is due this year. So to pass inspection. But we got a guy in Buffalo that does that cheaper than we can buy a windshield and put it in ourselves.
I thought you were talking about sliding the
No,
vehicle inspection underneath.
No.
Because it's all legal. What happens?
That's one thing we don't mess with. We've failed cars for ball joints and stuff. And in fact, my wife worked with some guys over there, and he's like, "Hey, can you inspect my truck?" I was like, "Yeah, I can inspect it." I said, "Your Dodge?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "How many miles are on it?" He said, "Oh, 120 or something like that." I said, "You ever done anything to it?" He's like, "No." I said, "Well, I'm going to tell you right now before inspecting it, your ball joints are probably bad. Because Dodges, don't matter if it's Dakotas, full size, whatever, they're just bad about that." He said, "Well, inspect it for me." And I inspected it, and ball joints were bad. So I took it back and had the inspection, but it was failed, you know, for ball joints. And this other guy says, "Well, I know a guy, he'll pass it for you." I'm like, "That's fine. Do that."
Yeah.
But I'm not signing off on it, because if that fucking ball joint falls off and you have a wreck and kill somebody, guess who it comes back on?
Right.
It comes back on me.
Right.
Because my name is on that inspection slip. So, no.
Fuck. I don't want to think about going back in and changing my ball joints.
Yeah.
Because.
But what was cool, the guy put ball joints in, and he brought it back to me, and that's all I had to re-inspect then. I had to crawl under there and make sure there was new ball joints, and
Yeah.
okay, there you go.
Well, but I mean, and when it comes to something like that, that's a safety thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, your wipers.
Still a safety thing.
Right. But you could put brand new wipers on it.
I mean, if seatbelts don't work, that's safety. That can come back and bite you in the ass.
Right. But if you put brand new wipers on at the beginning of the summer, and it doesn't rain, and there's no moisture, and now they're cracked, and
wipers, even though they are fucking expensive as shit anymore, don't seem like they'll last a year. You know, it's like, I did go to and I won't say their name, a parts store here locally, and I think I had Rain-X blades on it was on my old Red Magnum, and they were getting to where they were chattery.
Yeah.
You know, not bad if it was raining hard, but when it was just misty, it was like. So I went in there and I said, "Hey, I need new blades for my car." And he's like, "What you got on there now?" I said, "Rain-X." He goes, "You bought them here, didn't you?" I think they come on the car when I bought the car.
Yeah.
And I said, he goes, "You bought them here, right?" I'm like, "Okay." He warrantied them for me. So.
There's a place I take my truck to get the oil changed. Yes, I could do it on my own, but no, I don't want to.
It's not worth getting dirty for $20.
Right.
'Cause that's basically the labor.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a big city.
And I've got skid plate, and I don't want to drop that skid plate. And anyways, I paid. I think I paid like $30 per wiper. But you know, I go in for my next oil change. Oh yeah, warranty out my wiper blades. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I had my oil changed. And one day I was at O'Reilly's, and they had a special on the particular brand of oil I got. And I'm like, "Oh shit," you know, it was 5 quarts for whatever. So I bought that, but mine holds 6, so I'd buy another quart, and then bought a Wix filter, a good filter. Okay. And I'm like, shit, I ain't got time to do this myself. So I called ABC where I get my oil changed. I said, "What's it cost to get my oil changed if I've already got the oil in the filter?" He said, $20. I'm like, okay. Dropped it off. They done it. Got my ticket, and it was $6 more by the time I bought my oil and everything, and had them do it, than if I'd have just had them do it to start with.
Right. Well, and that's
even with that oil on special.
Right.
It still cost me more money to buy my own oil and let them change it than if I'd have just took it to them and let them do it.
I mean, because places like that, they don't generally just use bottles. It's bulk.
Right.
And when you buy in bulk,
but they put the oil in it that you want.
Right.
But like I say, they buy it in bulk, and so they get, you can buy a barrel of it a lot cheaper than you can buy that many quarts.
Right. And I go full synthetic.
I do too.
on my truck, and
I'll tell you why I go full synthetic. That little Celebrity I bought from Gary, that white Celebrity, he'd put Mobil 1 full synthetic oil in that. And I'm thinking, why in this car, you know? But I'm a firm believer of whatever it's had put in it.
right.
I mean, I've got the brands I like, but if that car had Pennzoil in it from day one, that's what I put in it. If it had Motorcraft, that's what I put, whatever. So I'm like, okay. So we were going to Bolivar one day, and the temperature light came on. I'm like, what the hell? And then I started seeing steam. It's like, shit. So pulled over. It did blew a head gasket.
Ooh.
That car never rattled. Conventional oil, usually they start rattling before the light comes on.
Right.
So that told me that full synthetic didn't lose its viscosity when it got that hot. And I'm like, you know what? That made me a firm believer in it. And besides the fact they start so much better in the wintertime,
Yeah.
because that oil don't get thick either.
Exactly.
You can pour it out of that bottle when it's 20 degrees out, and it pours just like it's 70 degrees out. Your conventional oil pours out like molasses.
Bloop.
Yep.
Bloop. It pours out like a Guinness.
Like STP.
Pours out like a Guinness at an Irish pub.
Yeah.
Bloop. Well, I think we've gone the gambit. We've talked about a few shows.
There's still shows out there like that on television,
Yeah.
whether it be cable or whatever. But like I say, I think YouTube has kind of hurt the market there. Somebody guys got a channel for whatever.
Well, and the advertisements.
Oh yeah,
Like you're watching a 30-minute show, and you're only getting like 10 minutes of actual build time or doing anything, because then it's like, oh, well, if you're doing this project, use this product here. Blah, 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 blah. Oh,
Yeah.
and if you're doing this, use this product here. And
besides just the regular commercials, they're kind of advertising while they're doing their stuff.
Right. Right.
The
But
the ones that kind of got me too is, they're doing this build, and they got to have it ready to go at 8 o'clock in the morning.
uh-huh.
And I'm looking at that guy. Yeah, how many people they got off camera that's going to help them build this thing?
Exactly. Well, and you've got those like overhauling.
Mm-hmm.
You got 7 days to do this car.
Right.
And a lot of times, the first 2 days is body work.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 days is nothing but body work.
Mm-hmm.
And then paint, and then they talk about it. Nobody touches the car for like 24 hours after it's painted.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a mad dash getting everything together. And
Right.
I'm just like, that's great when you've got a crew of 50
Right.
working on one car.
And, in a lot of body shops today, too, we don't have enough room to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them that's got a big enough booth, whatever, they're painting all their parts off.
Right.
And then they set up, let's say you're painting 2 doors. They're painting them off the vehicle, but then they have the car in there and they set up the blends on the fender and on the quarter panel. So they got the room to set it all up so they could spray it all at the same time. Because you ain't any kind of metallic or pearl color.
Yeah.
You paint a bumper one day, then you paint the rest of the car the next day, it might not be quite the same color.
Right.
Because of humidity and the temperature, and unless you're in a climate-controlled environment where it's just identically the same every day, it can affect it,
Well, overhauling took place in Southern California,
Well,
Huntington Beach area.
be closer.
Yeah.
Not Missouri.
No. No.
Like we went from near 70 to a high of 40 Friday or whatever it was, and yesterday was
20.
That was what it feels like. I think it actually got to, when I was coming home from Bolivar, it got up to 34 or something like that.
Maybe down here.
Yeah.
Up in the big
Oh,
city.
yeah, up there it was 20. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because I walking to Comic-Con, and it's just the wind, like hitting me. Oh my God. It sucked. But
Yeah.
I had a good time, and we've got to talk about we got to talk about that, and then we've had a pretty productive last couple of days. But you have just watched another episode of S2E13 Productions Presents.
J&M, solve the world. I've been James.
And I've been Matt. And until next time, you keep one fist in the gold, one foot in the gutter, and we will be seeing you.
Peace.